would be nice to come. All right, Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, so we can start. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yatkirpa Tadham Bande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhvam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तो स्वामीति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंद पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्ण भक्तारूप स्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्त्याखं नमामि भक्ति शक्तिकम् हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा So, I'm also part of some of the classes, and what they do, Maharaji was here, His Holiness Najagunda Swami Maharaj, and one of the class I was there, but my camera was not on. So I had audio, I was listening to the class. Right after class, they sent me email, and they sent me 4 questions and said that since you are not on the class, can you please listen all the class and answer these 4 questions. It was essay type of questions. So this batch definitely is luckier, but next batch for sure, I'm going to set up something like that. If the devotees are missing the class, right away send the email saying that can you please hear the recording and answer these questions, because it's very important. Exam definitely is one part of it, but homework, sending on time and doing the homework and regularly reading, it should be part of our life. Somehow or other, we should have our schedule in a way that we are reading every day. I do. I mean, we have to read. Without reading, uh, there should be good balance of reading, mental service and physical service. Not only physical service also. Otherwise, your mood is not right. You don't know what's the purpose of the service. And doing only reading and not physically serving is also not good. So, in a spiritual life, harmonization. The advanced we become in Krishna conscious, the more we harmonized and see the values of things and use in the right perspective. So both of them are very important. So Hare Krishna, we are going through a very, very important discussion in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And this is the last part of introduction. We are trying to understand what is the definition of pure bhakti that is given by Srila Rupa Goswami. So we'll just get into the discussion. So Anna Vilasita Sunyam Gyan Karmadhyanavritam Anukulena Krishnanu Silnam Bhaktir Uttama. This is what the classical definition of bhakti is. And then we also uh, talked about Paribhasa Sutra. So I added few more slide to give you some insight. What is the Paribhasa Sutra? So Paribhasa Sutra is very much like a thesis statement. And everything that is being presented in the thesis is to basically uh, it's kind of the vision and mission. Everything that you do is to comply or to meet the requirement or the goal that you have set up as your vision. So thesis is basically have multiple chapter, but all the chapters are written in a way that is going to help define the objectives, or it meets the goal with your objective. So Paribhasa Sutra is very, very important, And since this book is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the definition of the Bhakti is main sutra. So that's why it's very important that we understand this concept. So we talked about these two mukhya, characteristic that we have. First one is Gaun Lakshana, second one is Gaun Lakshana, and first one is Mukhya Lakshan. Mukhya Lakshan is basically the prominent attributes that one need to have in the bhakti to be called as bhakti. And those three things that constitutes pure devotional service is that it has to be um, on continuous basis. It has to be on the continuous basis, and it should be for Krishna, and then uh, for the pleasure of Krishna, and it should be continuously practice. So favorable for Krishna and service that is going to be practiced on continuous basis, either our body, mind, and action. So we were just talking about mental service versus physical service. Does it say only body here? It says that practice must have body, mind, and action on these three levels. So our engagement should be on our bodily platform, which is physical services that we do, and mind should be also, because there is a lot of description in Bhagavatam that says that the root cause of our conditioning and suffering is mind. Prithu Maharaj talks that to his citizens, and Maharaj Jar Bharat is also saying the same thing to King Rahuguna, that unless and until one's body is not, unless until one mind is not purified, one cannot get out of the conditioning. And then the Gaun Lakshans are Anya Vilasita Sunyam, and then we talked about what exactly meaning of the Anya Vilasita, and then today we'll try to talk more on Gyan Karmadi Anavritam. So Avilasa are of two types, Cheshtarupa Avilasa or Bhavarupa. Sorry, Anusulanam is of two types, Cheshtarupa Anusulanam and Bhavarupa Anusulanam. So we don't want to basically do anything that has no goal. So the purpose of our Cheshtarupa Anusilanam is that it should help us get to the stage of Bhava Rupa Anusilanam. So purpose of the bhakti is that it should transform our consciousness. It should take us from where we are to the higher consciousness, and that has to happen. That change has to happen. If that's not happening, that means we are not really following the limbs of bhakti very seriously. So the transformation has to happen. And then we also talked about Anyavilasa. And Anyavilasa, it doesn't say that, all Avilasa. It doesn't say that Avilasa Sunyam. Anyavilasita Sunyam. So what is Anyavilasa? Anyavilasa that is not part of our Krishna consciousness. Anyavilasa that's not inspiring us to be more Krishna conscious is what we have to abandon. We cannot be Avilasa Rahit, or we cannot have a life that doesn't have desire. And I little bit talk more today what exactly is the real understanding of this word Avilasa. So maybe there'll be one slide coming after. I think this one. Yeah, yeah. So we'll talk about that. So the last item, Gyan Karmadi Anavritam. Does it sound familiar? Have we talked about this Gyan Karma Anavritam? Can anybody remember where did we talk about it? I have cited there NOI 2. Anyavilasita Sunyam Gyan Karmadi Anavritam. So NOI2, what is the NOI2?
Nectar of instruction.
Yeah, nectar of instruction, verse number 2. Atyahara prayasasya
अत्याहार प्रयासस्य
prajalpa niyamagraha jansangasya lolam cha sadvidir bhakti vinashyati. So prayasa. Okay. So what are different types of prayas? Prayasa means over endeavor. So what are different types of over endeavor? Gyan prayasa. You know, working too hard just to accumulate knowledge, just for sake of knowledge, just for sake of knowing things, and working too hard, too hard, too hard for that. That's gyan prayasa, over endeavoring for knowledge. And what is karma prayasa? Working too hard.
working too hard for the jobs or
Yeah, for the fruitive activity. Yeah,
whatever.
working too hard for getting the sensual pleasure, acting in things which are going to facilitate the means for sensual pleasure. That's karm prayas. So gyan prayas, karm prayas, and then there could be yoga prayas too, like too much of a austere life, too much of a detachment. You know, normally you see like Astang Yogi, they go live in a forest and they go through severe penance and eating, whatever they can get in the palm while they are standing, and that's all. Living, beneath a tree, not putting any clothing, either it's winter or summer, doesn't matter. Bathing or not bathing, doesn't matter. Very, kind of renounced. Why? Because they think that this attachment is the cause of our samsara. And they think that by developing the detachment, we are detaching ourselves with our body. Does that happen? By detaching with the things of the material world, do we detach with our body? What is the answer?
No.
Detachment
No,
doesn't, right, very right answer.
not possible.
Detachment would not basically, lead to a stage where we are not, attached to our body. And you will see that. Patanjali has
Mm.
given there are 5 causes of suffering. And one of the cause of the suffering is anivesha. Anivesha is basically attachment for our own self, especially at the time of death. Nobody want to die. So while my body is in a good condition, I might pretend, I might act and keep myself engaged in types of activity which is going to artificially develop the uh, detachment, but in reality is not going to really detach me from anything. On the other hand, maybe the desire is kind of accumulating behind. Maybe you can't see, but I have some real desire that I'm kind of piling up behind, and at the time of death that will come on front. Okay, so in the kind of curtain of bhakti, curtain, the word I'm using, in the shadow of bhakti, I might have some material desire that I am accumulating, and then at the time of death that will come, and then punarapi janamam, punarapi marnam. So the point here is that all other prayas, either prayasa for jnana, prayasa for karma, or prayasa for yogic achievement, all of that should be shunyam. But how about bhakti prayas?
That's good.
Yeah, so bhakti prayas is very good, very good. Any endeavor that we do to enhance our consciousness to the higher stage, is what is very important. So Gyan, Karmadi, Gyan, Karma and Yoga, Anavritam, all of that should be basically Shunyam. We should try to not rely on any one of these things as our main means to achieve Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. He doesn't say that Jnani Mam Abhijanati or Yogi Mam Abhijanati or Karmi Mam Abhijanati. Although uh, although Krishna has spoken on every topic from the very beginning, but he says that by Arjun Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati, only my devotee will know me for sure. So that's why it's very, very important to understand, what exactly is the bhakti? What are the elements that constitutes bhakti? So next slide that I'm going to share is very powerful slide, very, very powerful slide. And if you can digest that concept, it's going to be game changer, I can tell you. This is mentioned at multiple places by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So I'm not going to go more into the words and technicality of it, but I'm going to give the gist. And please try to make sure that you understand as much as you can, and then we'll have some discussions. Okay. So desires. We all have desires, right? Do we have desires or not?
Yeah.
We all have
Yeah.
desires. Okay. Okay. So let's see. So there are desires which are based of conditioning, right? So we have desire, and there are some desire that is nothing but just the outcome of our conditioning. Okay. And when we say those are outcome of our conditioning, what we are saying is that so how our desires are being reflected. It's reflected by our swabhav. Do you agree with that? Please
Yeah.
be a little bit. This is
Yes.
very important. This is very
Yep.
important. I can tell you.
Yep.
So how is our conditioning is being reflected in our normal dealing by our behavior, right?
Yep.
That's right.
And what's that conditioning or behavior is? It's outcome of three modes of material nature,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So our swabhav, the behave that we have, and it's basically very broad, point. Like we behave with, we have certain pattern of behavior with our, wives and husbands. We have certain pattern of behavior with our own sons and daughters. We have, certain pattern of behavior with our extended families. But we have a different pattern of behavior with the family who are not in my, family circle, or with the people who are not in my family circle. Then we have, very different type of behavior pattern with the people who are not in my, state. Then the people who are not in my country. Then people who are, not, even human being, right? Right? So this behavior thing is not just behavior. Got it? No, we need to a little bit meditate on that. That this behavior is basically, it has multiple, uh, it has multiple options, or the behavior is manifested in multiple ways. That's the better way to present. And depending on different surrounding, we have different types of behavior. What are some of the things that's determine how we are going to behave? Can somebody tell? What are some of the things that our behavior is dependent on?
Our guna and karma.
Yeah, guna and karma, yes. But some of the practical example, like how our behavior changes. Like what are some of the
Yes,
things?
circumstances through
Circumstances, yes. What else?
Association.
Yes, association. Yes. So, right now we are here with devotees, right? So we are more in the devotional away, right? But as soon as we start associating with some of the outsider people, we'll start, telling them, right? That, you think that you have a master, I also have a PhD. You think that, you are engineer, I'm also doctor. You think that you make, 1 million, I also make 1.5 million, like all of that thing. So all of that thing, is basically desire of our, conditioning, or based out of, our conditioning, such as, desire for opposite sex, or desire, you know, for other living being, how to respect them and all of that. So this conditioning is very, very kind of, big problem for us, because that's what, when we say that somebody is karmic, when we are saying that somebody is a karmic person, we are saying that their behavior pattern is very much based on their conditioning, which is outcome of their modes of material nature. So they are very much manipulated and operated by modes, right? So this is a conditioning. But what is important for us to understand is our value system. Okay, and value system is what? It's our faith. Okay, so value system is outcome of multiple components. What are those components? Our value system is outcome of the instructions that we get from Shastra, from our spiritual master, and from saintly person. Okay, so value system is what, we are trying to adopt. We are trying to have higher value system in our lives, which means we are trying to align our life based upon the instructions that's given to us by Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu, such as we have a desire to please our spiritual master. We have desire to chant, beautiful quality rounds, desire to associate with saintly person, desire to be a pure, powerful devotee that has no contamination, has no, any impurity at all. He's fully stable and not being disturbed by the moods that's around, and always, looking at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and always, Krishna conscious, right? Asmartavayam satatam Vishnu Vismartavena Jatasut. All the time, that's the goal, that each and every moment of our life, we are acting on the platform of Krishna consciousness. Okay, so that's our value system. That's the place where we want to be. And this is where we might be, or we started from, right? So where we are right now, that's the question. That's the question, okay? And in fact, there is a tug of war between our Swabhav and Sraddha. Okay, the value system and conditioning, there is a fight going on all the time. We wanna more on the value system. So once we are very aligned with the value system, then what type of devotee are we? Somebody can say. What that's huh?
Pure.
Pure devotee, yes. So so somebody will ask you, what is pure devotee? The person who is pretty aligned with the Guru Sahasra and Sadhu, okay, who are acting based on value system, not acting based out of conditioning, right? But there is always tug of war between our conditioning and value system, okay, and the goal of life and goal of devotees' lives are to be more on the value system side.
Yeah, Prabhu, this is Ram Kishore. This is so important because, there's so many, I've met many devotees or people who've said, oh, I'm chanting my 16 rounds, I'm initiated, and I should have none of the svabhava, right? And then when it happens, they think, why is this happening? And it's because Maya's always tugging.
Yes.
And it's so important to understand this, because after you get initiated, even if you're chanting 64 rounds a day, Maya is still pulling, and it's a battle every moment. That's just how this material miserable world is created, right?
Yes.
Sorry.
Very good point. Yeah. I want all of you, if you share something, then I'll understand that you are understanding this concept. So most of the time our behavior pattern is basically, so this is two vector, like vectorial, addition of the two forces. One is, in x direction, and another one is minus x direction, xx dash, and then the resultant is what our, resultant is what we are. So somebody will ask me who I am right now. Okay, I am basically resultant of both my Shraddha and Swabhava. I do have a desire to be a pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I do want to be a person who has not, given any trouble to anybody. I do want to be a person who is walking on the, water and completely unalloyed, pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But am I there? No. So what is stopping me to go there? This conditioning. Okay. So it's very important to understand the process of bhakti. Basically, what it does is that it takes us from this conditioned state and slowly and slowly, slowly and slowly, slowly and slowly, make us to align more on our value system. Okay, so that is why if you see somebody who is not behaving very nice, or maybe not up to the standard, you should know. You should know that that person has still, some impact of the conditioning. So in that case, what do we do? Do we need to be critical about that, or we need to be compassionate about it?
Passionate.
Compassionate, exactly. Because others behavior may, may interact with your value system. Okay.
So I have a question.
Yeah, I want everybody to little bit talk on this one, then I'll understand. This is very important point. Yeah, please ask.
This is amazing, Prabhu. This tug of war, this war is, I think, in everybody's life and more in my life too. So
It's in everybody's life, not only in your life. Thank you for being
yes,
so humble, but I think we all, does not matter who we all have this struggle. If somebody say that I don't have this struggle, then that person is not being honest. I can tell you.
yes.
Right, Prabhu? Ramkusar Prabhu, you agree with that?
Jai, yes.
Yes.
So
So your question, Mataji.
yes. So we may look outwardly that, we are progressing nicely, but internally we know that we are struggling, right? We may show some of the swabhava with our own family members, but may not be with outsiders or outside devotees. Feel like you are doing better on some days, and some small trigger comes and then you just crumble and you just lost it. And you feel miserable after that. How do you come to the point that you never have to feel that way, Prabhu? What do you do?
Yes. Good point. That's good. So you are saying that how to be stable and steady, right?
Yes.
We cannot. So also we have to be very realistic with our expectations also. Don't expect to be stable so soon. Otherwise, it's not going to be real stability. Chatudarpana marginam bhamaha davagni nivapanam. That marginam process has to happen. the cleaning has to happen, the rinsing has to happen, and also, do we need to be disappointed if I'm not fully aligned with my value system? Okay, so in nutshell, that's what you were asking. That how do I need to, take myself if I am not fully aligned with my value system, knowing my conditioning. Okay, so here is the best part. Can I tell the best part?
Yes, Prabhu.
The best part is that even if you are not fully aligned with your value system, and you still see that there are some conditioning, okay, but you don't have to fully align with the value system to become pure devotee. Remember, we said that once we are fully aligned with the value system, we are pure devotee, but that's not true. You are pure devotee if you know your conditioning and you are making an honest and sincere endeavor to go to the value system.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So look, let's go back now. Let's go back now. What it says here, Anukulenu Krishnanu Bhakti Anusulanam. Okay, so Anukulena Anusilanam, a continuous practice with body, mind, and action, which is favorable to Krishna consciousness, right? Is what is being asked here, right? So as long as you are making a sincere endeavor to basically act based out of your value system, knowing your conditioning, you are pure devotee. So when we say that Ramkrishna Prabhu is pure devotee, or Ashok Prabhu is pure devotee, not because he's always acting based on their value system. No, he is always trying and making the endeavor to act on the value system, although he might fail. Prabhupada said, be compassionate with someone who is taking shower. Don't criticize, because he is much better than the people who are not even taking the shower. He's trying to clean himself. Another impact is, yeah.
Prabhu, the conditioning will never go away. That's what you're trying to say. We
No,
will
it will go
always
away.
be.
It will go away in advanced stage of bhakti. In Badhi Bhakti, so sorry to interrupt you. Please go ahead. Please clear ask your
No,
question.
no. I think what you were trying to say is that we can always remain in that consciousness and try to act with our body, mind, and our actions
Yeah.
more towards Shraddha, toward the value system. But is there a point when it comes where you are not conditioned at all? That's what I was trying to clarify.
Yes.
And what I understand is
Yes.
that conditioning may not go away entirely because we are alive, we have a body, the conditioning is going to be there, no matter what stage we are. But it's all relative.
Yes. So what we all think, do we think that this conditioning will once at some point it will go away from us and we will be fully aligned with the value system? What do you all think? What is the answer? Good
I don't
question,
know
Prabhu.
about me, Prabhu, but I think Prabhupada and some of the devotees, great acharyas, they were pure devotees. At least I believe that.
So it will go away, right?
Yeah, that's what
No,
I believe.
No, I think
Maybe not for me, but
Ramacharya Prabhu is saying that that's not the definition of pure devotee. You are still a
Yeah.
pure devotee if you are functional, if you are functioning more in the value system. It's
Yeah.
just that what is the time, or when do you know, or when somebody else knows that your conditioning is gone. So I think that's the question I have. So,
Okay. Yeah. So that's your question. Okay.
Yeah.
So I understand it better now. So what's that stage when we know that our conditioning is gone? It's very good. That's why Bhakti Samrita Sindhu is very powerful book. Very, very powerful book, because that will help us understand how to act. So let me try to give some understanding, and we'll talk more later. So conditioning is basically very gross when we are not engaged in the process of bhakti. We are just trying to stay away from Krishna. But when the electricity is off, the fan do move for some time. But does it continue moving or does it stop?
Were you asking if it keeps moving for a while?
Yeah. No, does
Yes.
it continue moving? Like it will keep moving for a while, but does it stop or it keeps moving?
Oh, it's
Eventually it will stop.
Eventually it stops, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
What will stop eventually? Sorry.
So
Fan.
we have a fan that is powered by electricity. Electric current is going through it. So once you turn the switch off, the fan doesn't stop right there, right? It continues
Yeah.
moving. But my question was that does it move at some point? Does it move eventually, or it continues? Does it stop or continues moving? That's the question. And the answer was no. It will stop at some point, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Exactly. So this conditioning, when we have just finished or we have realized that, oh my gosh, I'm just wasting my life. At that point, this conditioning is very dominant. But as we started switching, you know, as we started the, uh, adopting the process and switching off the electricity, it's basically slowing down. And at some point, it will completely slow down. Okay, so atho Shraddha, Tato Sadhu Sangha, Tato Bhajan Kriya, then Anarth Nivriti, and then
Ruchi.
Nistha.
Ruchi.
Nishtha.
So Nistha, then Ruchi, then Asakti, right? So what happens is that as long as we are, we have some Shraddha, right now we all have some Shraddha, right? And with that Shraddha, we are engaged in Bhajan Kriya. You agree?
Yes.
We all chant, right? So we have some Shraddha, and with that Shraddha, we are engaged in, please tell me, Bhajan Kriya.
Bhajan
And
Kriya.
then Sadhu Sangha. Do we
Sadhu
do right
Sangha.
now Sadhu Sangha, right? Maharaj
Yep.
was here, temple program, Sadhu Sangha. And then Anartha.
Anartha Nivriti.
Vritti.
So where we are right now, more or
Anartha
less.
Nivriti.
More or less, we are blend of all these four, right?
Yes.
Some stages in different,
Huh?
at some level in different stages.
Yeah, some level in different stages. Okay, so we are basically not.
Also, Prabhu, it depends on the day also. Weekends will be in so a bit higher level. Weekdays
Uh-huh.
will be materialistic, so that will be in Shraddha level.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So multiple factor, you are right, Prabhu. Multiple factor that help us understand which one is more prominent, right? But overall, are we beyond anartha-nivritti or no?
We are
Yes or
not,
no?
No.
but we'll come to that stage.
So did we talked about anartha-nivritti. There are 4 types of anartha. Can anybody remember what are we finished Isopnisad by that one? Who can dare to try to say what are the, at least one, what are the anartha that we talked? I want to see that if you are really learning or you just, don't follow up after that. If I would be a student like you all, I'll be making a note of all of these things. That's how I do. I have a notebook always open and I'll be like, writing everything. And then after class, I go through it and next class I ask question. But you said this is the question. That's how I have built my learning. So anartha nivritti, we have, we don't have, do we have gross sin in our life? No, mostly not.
No.
No.
Right? We talked about that, right?
Yes.
Mostly we don't have gross sin in our life. But do we have anarthas in our life?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, we do have some anartha. So if we have the anartha, then we are in the stage of anartha.
Nivriti.
We are not 100% there, but we are still below anartha nivritti, right? Right? So our nistha is not form. Okay. So that is why we are not fully aligned with the value system. But Nistha, Ruchi, Asakti, once we come to that stage, then we are more on the value system. Right now, we are more, sorry to say, but at least I am more on this side, trying to be, that side. But here is another thing. Please remember that right after Anartha Nivritti, there is Nistha. Okay, so the person who is, although most of you agreed that we are blend of these four, Shraddha, and Bhajan Kriya, Sadhu Sangha, Anartha Nivritti, but we are somewhere. Mananath Prabhu said we are, each of, everything, somewhere, right? But you are very close to get to Nistha at some point. Okay, so no need to be discouraged, although you might have some conditioning in your behavior, we might have some issue with our behavior, but as long as you know the value system, and as long as we are trying to act on the value system which is given to us by Guru Shastra and Sadhu, we are doing very good, and very soon we'll start acting on our value system. So as long as we are not a pure, as long as we are not in the Nistha stage, we still have some conditioning happening. But are we a pure devotee or not? If the endeavors are sincere, then you are. Let's give a pause. This is important. I want to make sure that Ashok Babu, did it help, or you would like
Yeah.
to ask something else?
Yes. No, Prabhu, it was good. Clear.
Okay, thank you. So anybody has anything? Mataji, I answer your question too, Sri Radha Mataji. That do not need to be too much, worrying about the fault or mistake that you are doing. Rather, as long as you try to correct it, that's why Atma Glani is very important. In Bhakti
Introspection.
Mataji, yeah, introspection is very important. Sranam, Kirtanam, Nididhyasnam. Sranam, Mananam, Nididhyasnam. So after hearing Mananam, Mananam is basically introspection. That thinking. Okay, so I have certain, I'm very tired. Somebody will come and ask me something. I might be, very tired. I want to get rid of it. But as soon as I realize that no, this is a mistake, I should not have done it, and from bottom of my heart, I'm seeking the forgiveness. Krishna says you are forgiven. So that is why, please don't try to justify your mistakes. Once you have made a mistake, you just say that yes, I still have some problem. I made a mistake. Please forgive me. That's sincere endeavor, and then we are done with it. We are moving ahead. Okay, so we'll talk about the stages. There are 9 stages of the bhakti, and each stage have specific symptoms, and we'll come to that stage. We'll have that discussion where we'll talk what are the symptoms you have when you are in anartha nivritti. Okay, gross sin we don't have. There are 4 types of anarthas. We talked about it. Asat trishna, having the still and it's going to come in next slide, next slide, that still thinking that the material thing will give me happiness. That's asatrishna. Still thinking, what is the 10 offenses? Even after hearing so many instructions, still thinking and having some material desire, that's basically asatrishna. So yes, yeah, I'm in a stage, I know that money for a time being will give us happiness, but also thinking that my happiness soul has nothing to do with this material thing. Okay, so asatrishna. I'm going to tell this thing, and I hope that next time when I ask, somebody will say asatrishna. And then the second one is hridaya darbalyam, weakness of the heart. Okay, having a weak heart and thinking that and that weak heart creates fear. That weak heart makes us envious. The weak heart will make us make over endeavor. Oh my gosh, if I don't work hard, what will happen to my son and daughter? So that's hridaya darbalyam. So asat trishna, hridaya darbalyam, and then tattva vibhramaha. having illusion about who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is, who should I worship, who should be object of my worship, having, uh, doubt that maybe somebody else is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Guru Shastra and Sadhu, Narottam Das Thakur says, Guru Shastra Sadhu Vakya Tineta Kariya Akya. The one who is successful will act on the essence of Guru Shastra and Sadhu's Vakya. And all this theory collectively confirms that Ishvara Brahma Krishna Suchitananda Vigraha Anadi Radhi Govinda Sarvakaran Karanam Parameshwari Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So Tattva Vibhrama should not be there. And fourth one is basically aprad, basic aprad. And aprad is aprad against holy name, Nam aprad, Dham aprad, Diti aprad, and Vaishnava aprad. Okay, so most of us are still in that anartha nivritti stage. I can talk that little later also. So this is anartha nivritti, but this is the subtler anartha. The gross anartha is basically having desire to kill someone, illicit sex, meat eating propensity, gambling, having desire to, uh, uh, do some mundane thing. That's gross. And anarthas are not gross. Okay, but high, this is subtler, and higher than this is pratistha asa. We'll talk about that. Okay, so I don't want to take too far off, but the point that I'm trying to make here is that value system, as soon as we are done with the gross sin. So if you want to see in a very quantitative way, here is how you see. Gross sin, I'm done. I'm done with my subtle, sin, which are anarthas. Then I'm done with my subtlest, which is going to happen in the nishtha stage, maybe a little higher, little somewhere between, nishtha and ruchi. And then you are fully aligned with your value system. Then every minute, every fraction of second, you'll be acting for Krishna. You'll always remember Krishna. Your everything is based on, Krishna consciousness. So it's beyond yukt vairagya. This is some other concept. I don't want to mix up here, but we'll talk about that. So that's what, in a quantitative way, we are talking about. So the, more we try to chant the name of Krishna, associate with devotee, 64 limbs of the bhakti, it will come later. Okay, if we take out of 64, 9 limbs are principal limb. What are those 9 limbs? Shranam Kirtanam Vishnu,
Vishnu Smaranam Parasevanam Vachanam
Archanam Bandhanam Dasyam Sa.
Vanam
Yes.
Smaranam.
So if we take the shelter of those 9 limbs more seriously, we are riding on an elevator. We are going more close to value system and going away from our conditioning. So process of bhakti is very, very important. 9 limbs, that we normally try to follow is very, very important, because that will help us, have a firm goal, and it will help us act based on our value system. Although we know our value system, but we are still not acting on it. Why? Because we are not engaged in the process. And that's, one of the, that the bhakti has, pure devotional service has 6 symptoms. One of the symptoms is this. I'll talk about that. Okay, so let's give a pause here. Anything here before we move to the next slide? Okay, so
I was
yeah.
just going to say, Prabhuji, that when the conditioning is gone, we come to the stage of Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, Na Shochati Na Kamshati, Samasarveshu Bhuteshu. That
Mad Bhakti Lavte Puram, yeah.
Yeah.
So that is basically also it's a Jivan Mukta stage, Mataji, but it's also it's not like it's not Nistha stage. It's still not, because that verse is saying that Mukti Hitva Swarupena Vyavastita. Once living being have identified oneself that I am soul, That's basically, that's Brahmbhut Prasanatma. Brahmbhut, Atma has, come to this realization that I am Brahm, I am Brahman, I am basically part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So at that stage, he is now engaged, he is now ready to engage in the process of bhakti. So that's the Jivan Mukta stage. But at that stage, not necessarily that person has adopted the Saranam, Kirtanam, Asmanam, Bandhanam.
Right,
He,
Prabhu, but by then the conditioning is gone, right? The three modes of nature, probably the influence of these three modes is not there anymore in that stage.
so
It's
little
not
bit explain that one. No, that's that. I mean, little bit explain. So what is exactly? So you were saying that the Brahma Bhuta stage is equivalent to Nistha. I want to just little bit understand that.
No,
That's a
no,
good
I'm
point.
saying,
Thank you for.
no, Prabhu. All I'm saying is once the conditioning is gone, that's what it is, Brahma Bhuta stage. Probably it's not Nishtha or Bhakti yet, but the conditioning means three modes of nature won't have the
Yes. So
influence.
Mataji, our goal is to just get out of the three modes of nature or situate ourselves in the mode of transcendence. One of them or both of them.
Say that again, Prabhu.
So our goal is to come out of the three modes of material nature or situate ourselves in the mode of transcendence. So which one?
In mode of
Both, right?
transcendence.
Both, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Once you mode of transcendence has included already coming out of the modes.
Not
Right.
necessarily. That's the point.
No, not necessarily.
No. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Mukti hitva sarupana sarupana vyavastita. So a person who are very renounced, right?
Yeah.
Like yogi. Yogi also come to the understanding of that I am not this body. So there are some other process, Mataji, that will help one come to this stage that I am not this body. But is it he fully situated on the transcendence? Like for
No.
example, yes.
So Prabhu, what I'm saying is
Yeah.
the person who is in the mode of transcendence must have overcome the three modes of nature.
Yes, if you say that way, the person who is situated himself in the mode of transcendence by transmigrating the three modes of material nature, then yes.
Yeah, that's what I was trying.
Yes. So it's we have to basically establish, like take the shelter of the bhakti. So we can transcend these three modes of material nature by yogic process too.
Yes, Prabhu. Totally agree.
But we need to basically establish ourselves in bhakti.
Correct.
That's what is, yeah, but good point. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Anybody has any other questions, input? Yeah, I want that type of discussions because Bhakti Samrita Sindhu should help us understand some of this basic thing. So now the last slide that I want to talk is that how the definition that's given by Srila Rupa Goswami is aligning with the definition that's given in Narad Pancharatra. Sarvapadhi vinirmukto tatparvatena nirmalam rishikena rishikesa sevnam bhaktir uchyate. So that's also one of the definition of the bhakti. That's another definition of the bhakti. And what you were saying, Mataji, here, Anna Vilasita Sunyam Sarvapadhi Binurmuktam. Okay, so Sarvapadhi Binurmuktam. Now one has come to this stage where he is not trying to, connect himself or tagging himself with any other identity. So what are some of the identity we have? I'm the main. This identity will go too far down. Few of you are Matajis, right? So thinking that I am, main, somebody thinking that I am women, thinking that I'm king, thinking I'm the queen. So sarvapadhi binurmuktu, upadhi means designations, So one has basically renounced all the designation, and that is equivalent to anyavilasita sunyam. So in fact, what Rupa Goswami has given is aligning with the statement that is made in the Narad Pancharatra. Okay, Janma Karmadi Anaguritam. So Jan and karma. There is no other, ulterior motivation, right? That is nirmalam. The person has become nirmalam. Now he's come to the stage where he's not unnecessarily trying to, do the prayasa for jnana or trying to do the prayasa for karma. Anukulena, Anukulena, now he is favorably, he is engaged in devotional service with due favor. Okay, so these are the elements. Just Sarapadi Binur Muktam would not be sufficient unless and until one has become Nirmalam and one has engaged oneself in the bhakti. Engagement in devotional service is very, very important element of pure bhakti. And then for whom? All of other things can be done for somebody else also, right? Mataji Prabhuji, can be done or not? The Gyan or Karma Prayas, or one can understand that I don't have to do anything with anything. One may be engaged in certain activity, but that might be for some other personality. It says that very clearly that the Rishikena Rishikesa, our senses should be completely engaged, sevanam, in serving whom? The master of the senses, it says. If we are doing that, then that's Bhakti Ruchyate. That's called pure devotional service. So pure devotional service has these elements, Anyavilasita Shunyam, which means, it doesn't mean that we should not have the desire for chanting our rounds. So we do have some desire, that, oh my gosh, my rounding, I did some chanting, but it was not good. I want a little bit improve tomorrow. So that is also desire. So that desire, we are not saying that that desire has to be shunyam, but what happens is that some of the people who are in yogic process, sunyavad, we say, we have a prayer that we says that nirvishesha shunyavad, right? So there are people who meditate on Sunyavad, who come to that stage where, like some of these, Buddhist monks, they are very renounced. But what they are trying to focus on, they are thinking that, the entire truth, the absolute truth is void. Everything has come from, that Big Bang theory. There was nothing. Everything was Sunya. There was no time. There was no, Atma. There was no Shobhava. Nothing existed. Everything was Shunya. And then from that Sunya, everything has come. So one may be out of Anyavilasita, but meditate on that void. No, clearly Krishna Anusilanam. One has to focus. So Krishna element is very important. We can do all other items, but we don't do it for Krishna. And you can see that's happening, in case of other personality too. Let's take the example of Brahm Kumari Prajapati. Do they not try to come to the state of Sarab? Yeah, they are also teaching that Sarabhadi Binurumuktam. They are also, teaching and doing all the yoga, be nirmalam. But they say that, Krishna, the absolute truth, is a light. They will give one card, and on that card there will be one dot, and dot has light coming, and they'll say that meditate on that dot. So is it like bhakti? No, it's not bhakti. Bhakti has to be for Krishna. Okay, so up to this part, I very much finished the definition of the bhakti, and then from next week we can start talking about what happens if we are engaged in pure devotional service. So introduction of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, NOD, is completed right here. From next class, we'll start getting into chapter 1, and then we'll talk symptoms of bhakti, what are the things that will happen if we are perfectly situated in devotional service. So with that, I would like to give a pause and see if there is any last comment, anything that you would like to share. Please share, please share. No, do not hesitate. It's always good sharing something, anything that you liked or you would like to adopt or made some impact on your consciousness, we can do like for few minutes and then we are done.
Prabhu, both the shlokas that you mentioned, Anyabhilashita Shunyam and also Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam Tatparatvena Nirmalam, both are such powerful verses and very purifying and helps in chanting the rounds qualitatively. Once we, because our mind is always wandering on throughout the world. I don't know from where, but the mind just remembers all the things. But these two shlokas definitely keeps it going, help you chant good rounds. And
Yes, Mataji.
just on Rishikesha.
So the Rishikesha. Okay, Ashok Prabhu, you want to share something?
No, Prabhu, it's good. It was a good session today, where I think we got to learn the how to balance and which way to tilt our balance at.
Yeah, thank you. Who would like to share? Apanda Mataji, you have anything that you want to share? Let's hear from her.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
Yeah,
Bol.
I really like that tug of war between the conditioned life and how we have to finally try to, make our endeavors to come to the value system. So that was really very nice. Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Yes, we have to raise the bar. And falling short is not a problem. That's very realistic. Sometimes we fall short, but no need to worry for that. That should not be basically blocking a stone. Sometimes I do make some mistake. We do make some mistake, but that's okay. Right away, mistakes also happens because Krishna is Chaitya Guru, right? Chaitya Guru. So sometimes he shows through the torchlight. Here you can see, here is you are not seeing it. Okay, I'll see you the torchlight. Now you can see it's very clear. Oh really, everywhere is light, here is a little bit dirt. I need to work on that one. So in devotional service, everything that happens, it happens by the mercy of Krishna. That there is another thing, another important element that I want to mention later, that how devotee life is very specifically crafted by Lord. So don't you think that Krishna is not hearing your prayer, our prayers, and we are on our own? No, Krishna has started seeing our sincerity and is helping us to come close to him.
Very nice point, Prabhu, how we can see our mistakes and Krishna will show you with the torchlight.
Yeah, otherwise how will purify?
Right, absolutely, yeah.
We can't purify. Our own intelligence will always bewilder us.
Yes.
Only intelligence of a devotee. That's why always love devotee. They are your guru.
Yeah.
Don't think that somebody is senior, somebody is junior. I can't learn, from XYZ. No, I learn a lot from all of you. That's how Krishna presents. There is a area of influence, right?
Yeah.
So we live in St. Louis, and everybody is living in our own area of influence. So these objects which are within our area are not accidental.
Yeah.
Ashok Prabhu is situated here to teach me certain things that he has as his strength, that only he can teach me. Ramkishore Prabhu is here because there are certain things that he can only teach me. You are here because you have certain strength that only you can teach me. Sometimes that strength may be coming to me as my weakness. Sometimes it may come to me as a strength. So both our strength and weakness has to be realized. So devotees are positioned in a reference frame like chessboard. Everything has a position. So don't think like that. That's why when we have faith in Krishna, we see everything around us is positioned for us to elevate in Krishna consciousness. So everything has meaning. Nothing is obsolete. Krishna has not created a single object that is obsolete. And that's the Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada, that's how Prabhupada said. He saw everything in reference of Krishna consciousness. Everything is exactly positioned at certain point to make or to help all other living being. Let's hear from Manonath Prabhu. Manonath Prabhu, anything that you would like to share?
think I heard in one of the lectures from Maharaj Prabhu, I think that the tug of war that you're mentioning, then there was a question like, who's winning, right? And Maharaj's answer was, whichever one we are feeding.
Yes.
That's what really wins. Something I remembered.
Yes. Very good. Thank you. Very good point. Whichever one we are feeding. Yes. So if you want to feed more of our value system, then devotee association, coming to temple, let devotee look at us. Let Krishna look at us. Okay. Samanya Mataji, you want to share anything?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Dandavad.
This session gave me like hope that even if like we are not giving our 100% towards bhakti, but as long as our goal is clear and we are endeavoring for it, Krishna, by the mercy of Krishna, we will like definitely attain our goal.
Yes. Krishna definitely will help us get there. Okay, Deepika, Swen Mataji, anything you would like to share?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. No, Prabhuji, while you were telling about like we are here to learn in every step, that was like today morning when in one lecture, it was like in every step we get something to learn, and it doesn't matter how old are you or like
Yes.
how exalted devotee you are, how senior devotee you are, or you are just like your first day in Krishna consciousness. So yeah, Prabhu, just wanted to share that.
Yes. Yeah, perfect. Our mood is that we try to, take everybody as a teacher. At the same time, we don't want to be teacher also. We are always dash. We are always students. Me being here, nothing. I'm always, this helps me a lot. This helping me understand, reshape my consciousness. I learn a lot from all of you. So, who is perfect spiritual master? Who is a perfect disciple? A bona fide spiritual master thinks that he is disciple of his disciples. Do you know that? So one who that way he is serving. Oh, all of my disciples are here to elevate me, and I need to serve them, because by serving them, if they go back to Krishna, I'll also be qualified to go back to Krishna. So yes, that's a good point. Good point. Okay, so with that, we would like to conclude here. Vanchkalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhuvevasya patitanam pavanevyo vaishnavevyo namo namah. Assemble Bhakti Vrind ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Thank you. Hare Krishna. See you all next Saturday or maybe tomorrow in the Sunday Feast lecture. Hari Bol. Dandavad. Hare
Well, thank
Krishna.
you,
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu. Hari Bol.